Well, formally, welcome. And for those of you who are alumni, welcome back to Eastern Connecticut State University and the 27th Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I am Scott Smith, chair of the Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame Committee, and it sure is great to be able to come back together again with a few adjustments to celebrate the history of Eastern Connecticut athletics and to recognize our alumni and supporters who have performed, achieved, and had a tremendous impact at a supreme level during their collegiate careers here at Eastern. Before we get started, I would like to thank the members of the university's administration, the Division of Student Affairs, the ECSU Foundation, and the Alumni Association for their continuing support of our Hall of Fame and their oversight of the health and safety parameters for this event. It also should be noted that the members of the administration gave up their own slots for this event, which allowed us to maximize the number of supporters each of our honorees could have in attendance this evening. Really appreciate that on their behalf. Prior to the introduction of this year's honorees, I would like to recognize the current members of the Hall of Fame and our past award recipients who are in attendance this evening. When announced, I asked each individual to please come up to the front of the room. Michael Atkind Exceptional Service Award recipient, Dean Cinto. Pioneer Award recipient, Trenton Wright. And Eastern Hall of Fame members, Scott Chasen, Scott Serwinski, Mark DiGiovanni, Jason Edwards, Bernice LaFerriere, Chris Mock, Laura Oberstadt Boardman, Beth Regan, Wendy Rogers, John Rabano, Cynthia Walls-Washburn, and David Yo. And now to formally recognize today's honorees. First, our 2020 and 2021 Little East Conference Hall of Fame inductees. We ask them to step forward to be recognized. 2020 Little East Conference Hall of Famers Scott C. Chasen and Mark A. DiGiovanni. 2021 Little East Conference Hall of Famers Jason D. Edwards, Wendy A. Rogers, and the members of Eastern's first ever Little East Hall of Fame team inductee, the 1998 baseball team. And finally, introducing the 6 honorees of the 2020-2021 Eastern Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame. First, our Michael A. Atkind Exceptional Service Award recipient, former Executive Vice President of Eastern, Dr. Michael Pernell. Our first Eastern Hall of Fame inductee, being presented by his former teammate and Eastern Hall of Famer John Rabano, Patrick J. Amendolia. Our second Eastern inductee, being presented by former Eastern volleyball coach Jolie Ward, Mariana Capamola Linehan. Our third Eastern inductee, being presented by former athletic trainer and Eastern Hall of Famer David Yo, Lori A. Francina. Our fourth Eastern inductee being presented by his coaching colleague Leo Mayo, David H. Nicholson. And our fifth inductee being presented by Jan Holowati, who is representing former Eastern baseball coach Bill Holowati, who could not be with us today, Dwight A. Wildman. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the members of the 2020-2021 Hall of Fame. Thank you. Just want to warn everybody the lights are going to dim slightly. So. Before we go on, I would like to mention one individual who has been a fixture at our Hall of Fame events for many years, but was unable to be with us this evening. That individual is our Hall of Fame musician, Mr. Al Morano. Please keep Al in your thoughts. At this time, I invite Father Larry Lapointe to please come forward for the invocation.
I like the lighting. It's very churchy. Everything has changed a little bit because of the pandemic, I think. We've all had a chance to learn new lessons, new skills. There are probably three things that dominate in our minds because of all this. One is time. Time just seems to be out of joint. It's that way at a good athletic game or competition. You lose track of time. When you're at practice or working out, time seems to stand still, and you wish it would move a little faster. We've seen time as a relative thing, and we've redefined heroism. We've come to find heroism in places where we didn't expect it. The Hall of Fame always seeks out heroes, sometimes unsung heroes, but it always helps us to understand the whole idea of heroism a little better. It's also taught us to really value the people that we love, the people we care about, the people we may have had to spend more time with than we wanted to over the last several months, and the others whom we have lost and missed terribly. Being a part of a team, being a part of a university with the kind of spirit that Eastern has, really teaches us about valuing relationships, how they're built, and how they build us. So remembering those three lessons of time and heroism and relationships, and recognizing the fact that each one of us probably represents an entirely different spiritual perspective or philosophical outlook, why don't we take advantage of this exquisite lighting and a moment of silence to mull over those ideas and how the honorees, how past honorees, how people who have not been honored as yet, fit into the pattern of our lives, how they have affected time for us, exhibited heroism, taught us heroism, and built relationships. Amen. And congratulations to all the honorees.
Thank you, Father Larry. We will now begin the awards portion of our program with the recognition of our Little East Conference Hall of Fame inductees. Here to offer greetings on behalf of the Little East Conference is the Commissioner of the Little East Conference, Dr. Pamela Samuelson.
Good evening. And first off, many thanks to Lori Runksmeyer and her team for the invite tonight and for all the time I know that goes into events such as this. I can assure you that the staff in Eastern's athletic department is busy these days shaping the next group of inductees to go into the Hall of Fame here at Eastern and into the Little East Conference. It's a terrific staff here, and I've enjoyed working with them in my 2 years as commissioner, and can assure you they're developing the young people not only on the field and the court, but as individuals as well. So I'm sure this tradition will continue. Since the Little East began and was created in 1986 is when we first started competing, tens of thousands of student athletes have competed under the umbrella of the Little East Conference. To date, and this includes the induction class of 2021, there are currently 93 individuals in the Little East Hall of Fame and 2 teams as of tonight. So the Little East Hall of Fame, created in 2012, is not that old. So this speaks to how special this recognition is. So I hope all of you that are associated with Eastern feel great about what these people have accomplished and achieved to get into the Little East Conference, because it's a special, special recognition. My congratulations to those being inducted tonight into the Little East Hall of Fame, as well as my congratulations to the inductees into Eastern Connecticut's Hall of Fame. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Samuelson. Just to add a little bit to what Dr. Samuelson said, in 2019, the conference decided to allow each member institution to honor its Little East Hall of Famers on campus in their own way. So it was an easy decision for us to recognize our honorees here during our regular Hall of Fame ceremony. So let's get to it. In 1998, our first Little East Conference inductee set program season records for appearances with 28, relief appearances 26, and saves 10, while compiling a 6-2 record, 2.51 ERA, and 59 strikeouts in 61 innings for LEC and Eastern Hall of Fame coach Bill Holowatty's 40-11 national champions. A dominant first-team All-Conference and first-team ABCA All-America pitcher who went on to a lengthy professional career, 2012 Eastern Hall of Famer and 2020 Little East Conference Hall of Famer Scott C. Chasen.
Good evening, everybody. I'll try to make this quick. Trying to make the Red Sox game at the end of this. If you guys don't know, they're up 4-0. Sorry, Yankee fans, the pain keeps going. Thanks, Smitty, and the rest of the committee for putting this together. I know the last 2 years has been quite painful. I know all the emails that you've sent out. I've been more nervous I'm going to mess this up more than my last class at college. All the emails I've been trying to read. I would like to thank also the Little Leagues Committee for this honor. Also, congratulations to all the inductees today and the Little Leagues recipients today. Before I forget, my induction in 2012, I had a piece of paper that I went off of, which I'm not doing today. My wife, Heather, who's here tonight, was on the crease of that paper, and I forgot to thank her. That did not go well for at least a week. She let my kids know. Kind of everybody knew. So I would like to definitely thank my wife, Heather, for all. A little easier without a piece of paper. Not just during my playing career, after my playing career, putting up with all the years of baseball. And I know sports has become wild in our family, but she has helped me through all the ups and downs during my career and after my career. Thanks to the baseball players in 1998, Sawinski busted my stones about blowing some saves probably that year. I was just trying to keep him down a little bit. 1998 was a great season, and with the help of that team, I think it gave me a little more help in furthering my career. It was such a good team. We went to the highest level, and they gave me looks from a lot of places. On top of that, I would like to thank somebody that couldn't be here today. Mr. Holowati, Coach Holowati. I'm glad Jan came today, and Jennifer. For the people that don't know Coach, he was probably the biggest influence in my life. He's a father figure for a lot of players on that team, not just a coach. And what people don't realize is he doesn't just stop when your career is over. He called me, I think, every year to make sure I was going to graduate. How many college coaches are going to call your kids if they're going to graduate? I probably graduated between him and my wife. That was the only reason why I actually graduated. I did not want to go back, but I knew I had to. He's an incredible human being. I really wish he could be here tonight, Jan. And I really hope that this school, the administration, can really find in their hearts to name that baseball field as Coach Holowati. It is his field. He built this program. I'm not going to say he built this school, but he built a lot of people came here because of him. I know all these baseball players came here because of him. And he's an incredible human being, an incredible coach. Like I said, congrats to everybody here tonight, and thanks for having me.
Congratulations, Scott. In 3 years at Eastern under head coaches John Basti and Eastern Hall of Famer Rick McCarthy, our second inductee helped lead the men's lacrosse program to an undefeated 23-0 conference record and a 39-9 mark overall. In his career, he tallied 117 goals and 81 assists for 198 points and was a 3-time first-team All-Conference and 2-time USILA All-America selection. In 2002, he was named Little East Conference Playoff MVP and Conference Player of the Year. 2019 Eastern Hall of Famer and 2020 Little East Hall of Famer Mark A. DiGiovanni.
Can everybody hear me okay? Last time I had to move this down a little bit. Sorry. First and foremost, it's an absolute honor to be here. Number one, it feels good to actually be around people, so I'm certain y'all can recognize that. It's just a special time to be with everybody tonight, so I'm super happy to be here. But I want to make certain I thank Smitty and all the committee that put this together, right? Doing it in a normal year is, obviously you guys have done it before, but to do it under the circumstances that we have and to pull this off is amazing. And I just want to make sure we give you a round of applause for that. It really is awesome. Great job. I also want to thank Dr. Samuelson. Thank you for this wonderful honor and to be a part of tonight's ceremony. I actually got word from a credible source that I actually got voted in almost 3 years ago, but you guys had some kind of height requirements, and you guys have now laxed that. So I'm tall enough to be in the league now, so I appreciate that. I want to also thank the leadership and administration here at Eastern, right? My reason for being here, my path coming to Eastern was not something, as I mentioned before, that was planned. I had an absolute amazing opportunity. I was able to fulfill my dream and go to a school that I'd always wanted to go, but I squandered that opportunity. I made poor decisions. I wasn't living by a good standard and making good decisions overall. And at the end of the day, I failed miserably. But luckily, I had people in my corner that decided to pick me up, and that brought me to this school here and provided me a new opportunity to flourish and, more important, to live at the standard that I'd set for myself. And I wanted to thank those people, and I wanted to thank Eastern for that opportunity because I learned so much. The other people I want to thank are all the other inductees tonight, right? You all lived and are here because of a certain standard. There's been thousands of student athletes that have come through this school, but you're being recognized because you did something different. You stepped up and did the things that other people wouldn't do. So I wish you all the best, and congratulations on all the success and everything in your honorees tonight. One of those people, actually, though, that I want to speak about specifically is someone of the inductees tonight, Pat Amendolia. I was very fortunate to play with Pat, and you're going to hear more about him, but I'm going to share a little bit about Pat, right? Pat, if you look at him right now, you may not be able to see him over there, but he was kind of what we like to call an unassuming assassin, if you will. Pat, when you looked at him, was probably not the guy that you looked at the field and said, man, this guy's a killer. But when you got out into that field, Pat was a bully, about 5'9" and 160 pounds, maybe soaking wet. And it was amazing to watch you play, Pat. I truly want to tell you how proud I am of you and to be your teammate, to watch you just over and over. When a player would come up, he'd get the ball taken away from him, he had a long day coming because it was just going to happen over and over and over. There were so many great players on our lacrosse team like Pat that made us successful. Those records up there, I don't take any personal recognition for. It's a team sport, and I was very fortunate to have guys like Pat, Chris Strykars, Kurt Bellinger, Ryan Kavanaugh, Dwayne Coles, who will be up here one day, because I don't think I've ever come across more of a better shutdown short stick midfielder in the world, right? Dwayne, you're amazing, right? So all those guys over there that are sitting here, my family isn't able to make it tonight. Unfortunately, I've got 3 young kids. In this environment, not possible. My mom's sick. She's not able to make it. My dad has to take care of her. And instead, my family, my lacrosse team showed up instead. It means the world to me that you guys are here. I'll end real quickly. We've all gone through a lot of challenges in these past couple years. The best things and the most instrumental lessons I've learned in my life have come on the field of sport. And I think we all can agree. I know when we were playing lacrosse, there were times where my team relied on me. And it didn't matter what the circumstance was. We had to bear down, you had to go through it, and you had to deliver. I know for the past year and a half, for a lot of people, a lot of challenges have been present. It's the same scenario, right? There's no timeouts, though. There is no calling timeout in this. You just got to keep on going. So my wish and hope for all of you guys is to continue dealing with this challenge that we're facing right now. If you have a great attitude, no matter how bad the situation is, you'll make it better. And when a great situation comes along again, you'll make it even better than that. So I just want to thank you guys all very much for tonight. I'm appreciative of being here, so enjoy. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mark. Our next inductee has held the Little East Conference and New England Alliance indoor and outdoor long jump records for the LEC the indoor and outdoor long jump records and the LEC indoor record in the 200 for over 2 decades. Competing under the guidance of coaches Kathy Menizza, Derek Yush, Clint Bowman, and Frank Poulin, he accumulated 30 individual and 4 relay conference and alliance titles, 5 New England long jump championships, and finished 6th or higher in 4 NCAA Division III national long jump competitions. A 4-time All-America selection and one of the most decorated track and field athletes in program history. 2013 Eastern Hall of Famer and 2021 Little East Hall of Famer, Jason D. Edwards.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to thank Eastern for putting this event together. I know there's a lot of moving parts during the tough times that we are all going through right now. Great job with you and the staff, and thank you for everybody putting this thing together. I'd like to also congratulate the Eastern Hall of Famers as well as the Little East Conference Hall of Famers. Congratulations, being part of history. I wasn't too sure if I was going to make it today, I tell you. Gas is so expensive that I was at the pump, and I'm pumping my gas. I'm sitting there watching TV. You know, at the gas station, they have the little TV there. And I'm sitting there like, wow, why are they playing this video right here? Well, I guess they're trying to do that, trying to distract us from knowing how much gas prices really are. Back in June, I received a call in June, and I was unsure. This guy calls me. He says, Jason D. Edwards, you've been inducted to the Eastern Hall of Fame, or the Little East Conference. I was in such disbelief, I didn't know what to think. I said, I'm already in the Hall of Fame? And so Kathy reached out to me and said, hey, Jay, they're trying to get a hold of you. But still, I was still in shock and disbelief. I never thought this would happen. So Daryl was the guy that called me. I listened to the voicemail again. He said, Jason D. Edwards, you have been inducted to the Little East Conference Hall of Fame. I thought it was a scam, but I guess it was reality. But I guess things happen. Coach Kathy, where you at? Are you over there? We're going out with a bang. We did it again. I'd like to thank my father for flying up from South Carolina, being here with me today. You're still my Hall of Famer, still today. And don't forget tonight, you're my Uber driver, so don't fall asleep. It always seems impossible until it's done, and we did it. I'd like to thank for being up here today. This is a great honor to be part of the Little East Conference Hall of Fame. I never thought that I'd be here, but when you dream, things can happen. You know, behind one door, another door opens. Thank you for this great honor again. Once a warrior, always a warrior.
Congratulations, Jay. A consummate team leader and floor general for Little East Conference and Eastern Hall of Fame coach Bob Miller. Our next inductee averaged 12 points per game, 5.1 rebounds, 5.4 assists, 2.5 steals, and made 98 three-point baskets over her 3-year career, while leading the Warriors to their first 2 Little East Conference regular season and first ever tournament titles. 3 NCAA tournament appearances, and 2 consecutive Final Four berths. As a senior in 1991-92, she earned her 3rd All-Conference and All-New England accolades, as well as ECAC New England Player of the Year and WCA Honorable Mention All-America honors. A member of the Little East Conference's 25th anniversary women's basketball team, 2004 Eastern Hall of Famer, and 2021 Little East Hall of Famer, Wendy A. Rogers.
Good evening, everybody. Just like Jason said, I got the call in June, and I thought they had the wrong number. I was like, who did this? How did this happen? Are you sure? It is an amazing honor and a privilege to be named of all the players in the entire Little East Conference and all the sports to be in this position. I can't even comprehend it. And it is, I'm a little emotional, to be honest. Before I make the mistake of not thanking my mom for her great support through my career. And funny story about her was Coach Miller didn't tell me when I was going to score my 1,000 points. We were up at Plymouth State College, which from Massachusetts is about a 4.5-hour drive in the snow. So we, as a family, there was no talking during the game. We would talk after the game. So we're at halftime and we're up a couple points, and I haven't scored anything, and my mother comes down out of the bleachers and comes toward the bench, and I'm looking at her, giving her that weird look like, what are you doing? And she says, I didn't drive 4.5 hours to watch you not score your 1,000th point. So I said, okay. I walked over to Bob. I said, Bob, could you tell me what's supposed to happen? She goes, well, I wanted it to be a surprise. So I went out and took the first 3 shots of the second half, and it was over. So the next 2 I'd like to thank for being here tonight are my cousin Lynn and my cousin Robin, both who have supported me through my career as an athlete and as a coach. The funny story I have about Lynn is Lynn's son, Greg. I was coaching at Towson University, and we were playing at the University of Hartford. And Lynn's son, Greg, who was probably either 4 or 5 at the time, noticed me from the stands and decided to come down during the game and sit with me. So then, of course, Lynn and her husband at the time came and swiftly took him away, but it was one of the moments that I'll always remember. Next, I want to congratulate all the Little East Conference Hall of Fame members, the baseball team of 1998, Jason. I would also like to recognize Jody Rachela, the head coach at Western Connecticut. She was an amazing coach, and we battled for many years, and our time together was very memorable. The other person I want to recognize is Katerina Polkinen. She was a forward from the University of Southern Maine, and when she got her 4th foul in the regional final so we could go to the Final Four, let's just say I was a little happy about it. And she was one of the ones when it was announced in the end of June that this event was happening, and she was in it and Jody was in it. Katerina reached out to me and she said, do you remember me? And I was like, are you kidding me? Next, I want to acknowledge the Eastern Hall of Fame members tonight. Patrick, Maureen, if I say this right, David, Leanne, Dwight, and Michael. All right. Next, I want to thank, I'm sorry, this feels like the Oscars or something. I want to recognize my teammates, Lori Francina, Sherry Kenny, Jenny Flintz. Jenny Flintz, to this day, still doesn't have a bad bone in her body. Next, I want to recognize Lisa Matakaitis. She was an amazing soccer player. We were Wonder Twins out there. She made me the best player I could be because she was 4 or 5 times faster than me. On the soccer field, she could kick a goal in from 40 yards, but she couldn't make a layup. So the deal was she would steal it, and I would just run to the basket, and she'd throw it to me, and then I'd score. Next, I want to recognize Lauren Parati. She was the best captain I ever had, by far, and I'm sure she's an amazing boss. She worked at Eastern for a little bit, and now she's working for the Connecticut Lottery. So I reached out to her to see if I could get some numbers this weekend while I was up here. I'd also like to recognize Nicole Walker, Robin Gabby, Chris Mock, Bernice LaFerriere, Michelle McCreskey, and the late Holly Zimmerman. In terms of the coaches and staff and others, I cannot make this speech without bringing up Bob Miller. Unfortunately, he passed in February. I flew to South Carolina, and Coach Regan, her sister, and some other teammates were there. And there were 200 people that were there to celebrate him. And he has only been in South Carolina for a short time. He was the dad I never had. And I know he's up there tonight looking down, very proud. I also want to thank assistant coaches Paul Gallo. He's now working with the Dodgers organization in baseball, worked with Coach Holowati. Other coaches that helped me develop and called me out when I was being lazy. Coach Holowati, Coach Swichenchenko, Coach Anderson, Coach Crabtree, Coach Regan. I'd also like to thank the other professors on campus, Dr. Judy Miller, Dr. Williams, and I don't know how long Bob Molter's been here, but I think he was here 20 years before I got here. So I don't know what fountain of youth you're drinking out of, but I'd like to have some. All right. Next, I'd like to recognize the athletic director, Lori Ruckenmeyer, for making the trip to South Carolina. I did not get the pleasure to meet her when she came, but she was in the audience, and when it was announced that she was there, it really was very heartfelt that someone from Eastern, after everything that Bob has done, that she came, and I'll never forget that. And last but not least, I want to recognize Coach Denise Beerley for everything that she's done and able to keep the women's basketball program relative and competitive year after year after year. And, you know, the kids nowadays, they're a little different, you know, and it's a hard thing. But I want to thank Denise for everything that you're doing to continue the tradition of Eastern Connecticut. Thank you all. Stay safe, and congratulations.
Congratulations, Wendy. Beginning in 2020, the LEC Hall of Fame added a teams category to their induction process, and the decision was made to first honor the conference's national championship teams in chronological order, the first being Southern Maine's 1997 national championship baseball team in 2020. The second team is our final honoree. In the second year of conference play and opening a new baseball stadium, Eastern secured their second LEC regular season title with a 12-2 record, and then swept through the conference tournament, defeating Plymouth State 17-2 in the final, securing their first tournament title. 8 players earned all conference honors, and 2 were named ABCA All-America. As the Warriors went on to host and sweep through the NCAA New England Regional Tournament, defeating conference rivals Southern Maine and UMass Dartmouth twice, to claim their 7th regional title, advance to the College World Series in Salem, Virginia, and win the program's 3rd of 4 national championships under LEC and Eastern Hall of Fame head coach Bill Holowati. We are proud to honor the 2021 Little East Conference Hall of Fame team inductee, the 1998 National Championship baseball team. Representing the team this evening are LEC and Eastern Hall of Famer pitcher Scott Chasen, as well as infielder Keith Millen, statistician Chuck Carey, assistant coach Scott Smith, wow, that's me, and Eastern Hall of Fame pitcher Scott Serwinski, who will speak on behalf of the team. Guys, come on up front.
Eight nothing Sox. Have a great night. Smitty, great job as always. Obviously, been back here a few times, and Smitty, your work with this event is tremendous. So, great job with this as always. What a great honor for this group, and obviously the numbers are capped here, and there's a lot of guys that wanted to be here, but. That team was obviously a very good team, winning a national championship. But the great thing about that group was unbelievably unselfish. And you know, the 26 guys in that roster didn't care about getting at bats, innings. All that mattered was that we had one run on the board more than the opponent at the end, and it says a lot about our group, and it says a lot about our leader. You know, Coach did a great job as he did with all his groups. Building and just molding and just a super job. And I know Chase talked about it a little bit earlier. He's an unbelievable worker. He's an unbelievable leader. He's a role model. And I know that as we look around, and let me tell you something. The guy's won 4 national championships and a ton of regional tournaments, but the greatest thing he ever did was get that kid a college degree. That's almost amazing. Yeah. So, but having said that, you know, just you know, Coach was just unbelievable, and like Chase said, you know, to this day, still calls you, still asks how you're doing, still sees your family, and for that, I know there's 26 other guys that would like to say thank you, but we will forever be grateful to his unbelievable leadership. So once again, thank you. Great honor for this group. And congratulations to all the other inductees tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott, and congratulations to the 1998 baseball team. Success, excellence, champions, tradition. These are a few of the words that have come to define the athletic program here at Eastern Connecticut State University. To honor that excellence, the Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame was established in 1986 to recognize the achievements and contributions of the dedicated athletes, coaches, and administrators who have made a profound impact on the athletic program here at Eastern. Including today, the Hall of Fame committee has had the privilege of honoring 201 individuals by way of the Pioneer Award, Atkind Exceptional Service Award, or with our highest honor, induction into the Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame. The next time you are in the Sports Center, please be sure to visit the Hall of Fame room. You might have to find someone with a key, which is located just a few steps off the main lobby. This room is often utilized by members of the coaching staff as a space to meet with recruits and their family members the first time they formally come onto campus. Permanently displayed on the walls of the Hall of Fame room are individual picture plaques representing all 148 Hall of Famers, as well as 2 perpetual plaques listing the names of all 26 Pioneer Award and 27 Atkind Exceptional Service Award recipients. There is also a virtual Hall of Fame kiosk, which allows direct access to the Hall of Fame website. This room serves as a reminder of the proud history and tradition of Eastern athletics, a tradition created by the legacy of those individuals who have their names and pictures on those walls. We will now begin to celebrate that history and tradition by honoring the 2020-2021 Atkind Award recipient and the 27th Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame induction class. One of the most important components that have gone into creating the tradition of excellence within the Eastern Athletic Program has been the people who have given their time and talents in ways that may go unnoticed to the casual observer. It is these individuals who may or may not have had a direct connection to any single athletic program or the university who consistently went above and beyond in their effort to provide support, knowledge, and the all-important, I'll do whatever you need, work ethic, which is essential to build and maintain a successful athletic program. To honor these individuals, the Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame Committee established the Michael A. Atkind Exceptional Service Award, which by definition is presented to an individual demonstrating a standard of loyalty and commitment to the Eastern Connecticut Athletic Program as exemplified by Mike Atkind. Michael was a longtime university volunteer who assisted with numerous department events, E-Club Booster Club projects, and with supervision and care of baseball's alumni field until his untimely passing on August 7th, 1991. This year, the committee is proud to present this award to Dr. Michael Purnell in recognition of his 44 years and counting of support to the Department of Athletics. When asked about Dr. Purnell's impact, Hall of Famer Bill Holowati said, quote, "Since the first day he stepped on campus, Mike Purnell has always been a very positive supporter and a key figure in the advancement of the athletics department and the university," end quote. Whether it was running the game clock at basketball games in his earlier years on campus, to his years as executive vice president, overseeing athletics and attending administrative meetings, NCAA conventions, making appearances at seemingly every home game, or providing valuable coaching advice to our coaches, or probably most importantly, batting leadoff for the most prominent faculty staff softball team in Eastern intramural history. Dr. Michael Purnell always represented Eastern in a professional manner and did whatever was best for the university and its students. It is without question his influence both on and off campus helped lay the groundwork for the viability and growth of Eastern athletics into a regional and national power. On behalf of the Hall of Fame Committee, it is my pleasure to present the 2020-2021 Michael A. Atkind Exceptional Service Award to Dr. Michael E. Purnell.
I particularly like the "and counting" comment Smitty made. It's Dr. Samuelson and honorees in particular. It's a pleasure to be sharing this evening with you tonight, and I'm proud as anything to listen to all of your various accomplishments in whatever sport you were in. I also want to send special thanks to Smitty for the extremely wonderful organization skills that he displayed in leading the committee and putting this event together under trying circumstances. I don't know of anyone other than my wife who has given me more detailed instructions than anything. I'm very fortunate when Dr. David Carter became president of Eastern, for whatever reason, I don't know what the reason is. He particularly didn't want to have athletics report directly to him. and he asked me to assume those responsibilities in addition to my role as Executive Vice President. And it has been a wonderful trip for me to be able to have done that. This is the Atkins Service Award, and I view the role that I played at Eastern as primarily based in service, so I'm particularly proud to get this particular award because, in a way, service has been what I've been able to offer this institution. In fact, when I think about you honorees, I know you're being feted for your excellence in sports and your athletic capabilities, but when you think of it, you have rendered service too, service to Eastern and to this university. One of the best things about being an administrator and knowing you're doing a good job is that people don't know who you are or how you played a role in that. And it's only when you do something terribly wrong that people start wondering about the administration of a university. So I'm proud, as Smitty said, I was in the shadows, but I've always been beyond the sports. The event that we're at tonight honors, in particular, the past accomplishments of you honorees, things that you did when you were students at Eastern. But I like to think of it as laying the groundwork for what's going on in the present. And I'd like to remind Dr. Samuelson that Eastern has been the recipient of the Commissioner's Cup now 4 years in a row, which is the cup that's given to the institution in the Little East that has accumulated the most victories and wins in all of the sports combined together. So I believe that the example set by the honorees tonight will go on to help Eastern maintain that tradition and remain the best in the LAC. Thank you.
And now the presentations for the 27th induction class of the Eastern Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame induction is the highest honor an institution may bestow upon any individual, and we are very pleased to be able to add 5 extremely worthy names to our Hall of Fame roster this evening. Each inductee will have a video presentation, and then I will call to the podium each inductee to offer some brief remarks accompanied by their presenter. Let's get things started with our first video presentation.
Patrick J. Amendolia was a 4-year regular and 3-year starter after being recruited by Alumni Hall of Fame coach Rick McCarthy. One of the nation's and region's premier long stick midfielders, the Acton, Massachusetts native was named to the USILA Division III All-America and NELA All-New England teams in each of his final 2 seasons, alongside classmate and 2019 Alumni Hall of Famer Mark DiGiovanni. As the team leader in ground balls as a senior tri-captain, Pat was additionally recognized as a first-team All-New England pick by the ECAC and named to the NELA East-West Senior All-Star Game. With Pat, Eastern was 54-12 overall and 31-1 in conference play, including 24-0 in conference regular season action, qualified for 4 straight postseason tournaments, and never lost a match at home. Pat played on the team's final ECAC and first 3 NCAA tournament qualifiers. Pat appeared in 65 of a possible 66 matches in 4 years. After coming off the bench as a freshman defenseman, Pat was a fixture in the starting lineup at long stick midfield in each of his final 3 seasons. On teams which dominated regional competition during his career, Pat played at least 1 season with all 5 current Alumni Hall of Famers. Patrick ranks 6th all-time in career ground balls, holding 2 of the program's top 18 and 3 of the top 30 season ground ball totals.
Hello, my name is John Rubano, and it is an honor for me to serve as presenter for Pat Amendolia for his induction into the Eastern Connecticut State University Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame. Without question, Pat is the best long stick midfielder ever to play lacrosse at Eastern. In the fall of 1999, when Patty A, or as I call him, young Patrick, arrived in Willimantic for his freshman campaign, the starting team was comprised of mostly seniors and a couple of juniors, and it would not be easy for an underclassman to break into the lineup. As a senior captain in Pat's freshman year, it only took me and the team about 5 minutes into our first fall practice for us to realize that Patty A was the real deal. The Acton-Boxborough High School football and lacrosse standout had the full package from day one, a combination of lightning speed, toughness, and great takeaway checks. Young Patrick was a ground ball machine who combined that with strong stick skills and a high lacrosse IQ. He was poised to not only crack into the starting lineup the following spring, but would be a big contributor on what can be argued as the best team in Eastern lacrosse history. Like me and the rest of that 2000 squad, Pat found his way to Eastern via Coach Rick McCarthy. As a high school lacrosse All-America and a Boston Globe All-Scholastic multi-sport athlete, Pat was being heavily recruited by Quinnipiac, Gettysburg, and Western New England, but chose Eastern. Cut from the same blue-collar culture as the rest of the team, Pat was a great fit as an Eastern lacrosse player. He went on to be a team captain, leading the team to multiple NCAA tournament berths, 4 unbeaten conference championships, and was recognized twice in his career as a Division III All-America. After graduating, Pat's passion to lead and win has only grown. He has gone on to follow in his father's footsteps as a physical education teacher and as an elite coach. Since 2008, Pat has served as head lacrosse coach at his high school alma mater, Acton-Boxborough, where he has been inducted into the school's Hall of Fame in 2009. Since becoming Acton's head coach in 2008, the team has won over 200 games, 6 county championships, and a state championship in one of the most competitive lacrosse states in the U.S. Young Patrick has been recognized 4 times as County Coach of the Year and as the Boston Globe State High School Coach of the Year in 2014. In addition to the joy Pat receives from watching his student athletes go on to great heights, he enjoys nothing more than receiving a call from Coach McCarthy after a big game, providing a nostalgic reminder of the role that Coach McCarthy, his teammates, and Eastern played in his success. Pat is a proud husband to his wife Courtney, father to his son Jackson, son to his always supportive parents Ann and Tony, brother Nick, sister-in-law Kathleen, and his niece and nephew Georgia and Dylan.
When I heard Pat Amendolia was being inducted into the ECSU Athletic Hall of Fame, I was happy, excited, and felt it was well-deserved.
It's great to see a guy that didn't exactly have the stats that maybe an offensive player had get recognized.
I do remember meeting Pat for the very first time when he came on the campus, and it was one of those where as a freshman he was able to move into the dorms with others, and me and one of the other guys went around and were like, let's go introduce ourselves to the freshman class of lacrosse players that are coming in. And I remember going to Pat's room, and it was him and another gentleman named Chad West, and both of them had long poles with all their gear hanging off of it. And, you know, wanting to protect my own position, I said, geez, you know, I wonder what coach is bringing in here talent-wise. And good news was that I was playing close defense, and he was going to be at the midfield. And when I saw him get on the midfield and how quick he was, I said, whew, glad he's not playing close defense. When I saw Patty play on the field for one of the first times, my first reaction was, wow, this guy is fast. And he had the skills and the field sense and awareness and knew where to be. And always made great defensive plays and worked well with the team, which is a good part of it.
I think what made Pat such a good player is he was not only tenacious and, you know, kind of never gave the ball carrier a break when he was playing you, but also, like, if you got that step on him, that didn't really matter. He had that great trail check, and he also could, you know, had the speed to make up that distance that he might have lost on a step.
I got to play with Pat for 2 years. It was my junior and senior year, so his freshman and sophomore year. And even over those 2 years, I saw him grow as a player. When he came in, probably with most people, a little more timid, but once again had that aggressiveness. But I would say his skills got even more refined that second year, where he was able to calculate what the other team's offensive players might be thinking or wanting to do and be able to tee them up with, as we say, appropriately, so he could take that ball away or keep them from scoring.
Somewhere along the line, somebody had written a newspaper article about Pat that we all got our hands on. So Pat was affectionately known as Press for quite a while. We kind of never let him forget it, but once he got on the field, we realized quickly that he earned that press.
Off the field, Patty A had definitely a very calm, relaxing demeanor, and no one would know how aggressive he could get when he was on that field. And he would bring it to the other team players, and he would make them work if they were going to try and get around him.
Coach McCarthy always hyped up the new guys coming in, but Pat was one of the few guys that really lived up to the hype. It's amazing to see a freshman come in and make that kind of impact.
As a future coach, Pat definitely had the mindset. For him to go back to his hometown and take on that responsibility of coaching his high school team with that challenge to bring them to the state title and get it done was something that I would say not unexpected, but once again, a great, pleasant surprise.
At this time, it gives me great pleasure to present as a 2021 inductee to the Eastern Connecticut State University Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame, Patrick J. Amendolia.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Fame inductee Patrick J. Amendolia and his presenter, Hall of Famer John Rabano.
All right. Thanks to the committee. Thanks to Smitty and Bullet. Unbelievable job. I feel more important today than I don't think I've ever felt in my life. Champagne toast. It's like I'm a celebrity here. This is great. This is fantastic. So I appreciate that. You guys did a phenomenal job. I'm going to take a chunk out of Scott Chasen's book here, and I'm going to thank my wife first. So I'm going to thank my wife, Courtney. She's the strongest, the most kindest, and the bravest person that I know. She is a emergency room nurse at Lowell General Hospital and has been there for the last 5 years during all this pandemic stuff, and she's just the best. So certainly couldn't be the husband and father I am without her. So thanks, Courtney. Love you bunches. Again, to Bullet and Smitty, the best. You guys are awesome. A lot of teammates here at Cavi. He mentioned he came to my dorm room. He was the first person I met other than my roommate here at Eastern. He was best friends with this other kid named Sabby. So it's Cavi and Sabby was the duo. If you don't know Cavi too well, he has these tattoos on his legs that are of skeleton arms kind of climbing up the back of his legs. They're very scary. I'm a freshman. I'm 18. I'm nervous. I don't know anyone. And this kid's the first one at my dorm room. And I'm like, dude, those are going to scare your kids one day, bro. And he has like 2 boys, I think, now. And they definitely don't scare them at all. But he was the nicest guy to me and treated me super well. As well as everybody else on the squad. Other teammates that are here, Dwayne Coles, who should be up here as soon as possible if we can get him in, who's one of the best defensive midfielders in the country at his position, and also one of the nicest dudes ever. Lamont Thomas, Sacco, Rosie, as you saw in there. Rosie, I never played with Rosie. Rosie was a year older than graduated a year before my freshman year, but we played a bunch of alumni game stuff with, and we still continue to compete together as alumni and other tournaments and things, which I'll get into later. Terry Francois, who was a senior when I was a freshman. We've got to know each other going forward and post-collegiately. Played on teams in Placid, which I'll get to in a second, but he was a guy who introduced me to goji berries. I challenge all of you to look into your phone and Google goji berries, and it's brought me one son and hopefully another healthy baby on the way. Look it up. I'm just going to leave it there. You look it up. I want to thank Chris Strykars. I want to thank Kirk Belanger for being great teammates. I love seeing those guys. Mark DiGiovanni, who is up here before, phenomenal player. Came in my sophomore year, his junior, or it would have been, we were sophomores together, I should say, but he had done a freshman year somewhere else at a prestigious school, and his first year here, he's one of the most tremendous players I've ever played with. We would battle together at practice, and our first year, our sophomore year, I kind of felt bad. I was taking the ball away from him too much. Because he was such a highly touted guy, I was like, I'm not this good. I don't know what's going on. He got so much better, though. His junior year, we were kind of 50-50, and then in our senior year, I couldn't touch his stick. We played, we'd battle one-on-one all the time. I could not come close to defending this kid in practice, and he was such a phenomenal player and leader and got so much better and made me better trying to defend him. It was quite a feat, and I can't thank Mark enough for being such a great teammate and leader. Doc Yo, I spent way too much time on his medical table. I apologize, but we worked really well together, and I love your the way you treated your athletes and wanted us to do better. Rubes, John Rubano here, former Hall of Famer himself, learned from him as a great leader. He's a great mentor to me. I only played one season with John, but we still remain very close friends. We go up to Lake Placid quite a bit. Our families are friends, and I learned a lot from him as a father, as a leader, and I just is a guy I look up to, and I really appreciate John, and thank you for inducting me and doing all these videos. Our coach, Rick McCarthy, much like Holowati, was a great guy and did a lot for his players, and Rick has his name on the field, and I second that sentiment. Coach Holowati should as well. And he literally just called me like an hour ago during the ceremony, and I had to go outside, and I probably interrupted everybody by trying to get back in, but I literally talked to him on the phone about half an hour ago. To my parents, they showed up to every single game I played in, which was 65. They came to 64. They missed one. What the hell? So that also included a trip to California, which we had 2 days' notice in our playoff game to go out to California to play a game. They made it. We played games from Colby, Maine, down to Virginia, and they made every single one except for one. I think it was a home game against a terrible team, but it didn't matter. So I really appreciate them for supporting me. Last thing that didn't get mentioned, after college, I was an assistant lacrosse coach at Holy Cross out in Worcester, Division I. I definitely had no business being the coach there, but they had a real big need, and I filled it. We had a senior. His name was Richie. He was a real feel-good story. Came from nothing. He was a self-made kid who turned his upbringing into a full academic scholarship to a top academic institution like Holy Cross. Saved up enough money from his campus job to have his family travel and stay overnight to watch their first game of him playing, which was his last and final home game against Army. We played Army. Army was number 10 in the country at the time. Holy Cross was terrible. We were awful. But we took Army that day to double overtime and lost 11-10. It was, for us, it was awesome. Richie played the game of his life and pointed out to everybody on the team that his family was there and had a great, smile on his face, and was so happy and proud that his family was there, and he played the game of his life. I was fortunate enough to play 64 games and the game of my life for my parents. And I wouldn't have it another way. I can only hope that my wife and I will be as supportive of our children as my parents were to me and my brother. All right, I'm good. Thanks very much.
Today, Stamford native Mariana Capamola Linehan will become the first pure defensive player among 14 volleyball inductees in the Alumni Hall of Fame. A transfer from the Division II level, Mariana was named to the All-Little East team in each of her 3 seasons in Willimantic. She was twice named Little East Defensive Player of the Year, First Team All-Little East, and Little East Tournament MVP. And in 2006, the team captain was selected to the NUVA Senior Classic. Through 2020, Mariana remains Eastern's only 2-time Little East Tournament MVP and the only Eastern player named LEC Defensive Player of the Year even once. Mariana appeared in 391 of a possible 420 sets in her career, setting a program season record as a junior by appearing in 142 sets in helping the Warriors to a share of their second straight Little East regular season title and to their first of 3 straight Little East Tournament championships. In only 3 years, Mariana set the current program record in digs and remains the only player in program history with as many as 1,900. Additionally, she is one of only 6 players to ever record as many as 200 career service aces. Since digs became an official Eastern statistic 32 years ago, 6 times a player has recorded as many as 40 in a match. Mariana owns 3 of those 40 dig matches, including the top 2.
Hello, my name is Jolie Ward, and it is my honor to speak on behalf of Mariana Capamola Linehan. As her coach at Eastern and as a mentor, I can say that Mariana is well deserving of this recognition due to her contributions to the program, but also because of her true love and passion for the game of volleyball. Little did I know back in 2004 that this undersized outside hitter would help propel Eastern back into its glory days of conference championships and NCAA appearances. Although this was my goal as a first-year head coach, the truth is Mariana was potentially a transfer student that I initially knew very little about. After meeting with her on campus for the first time, I thought to myself that this kid will never make the cut. Well, needless to say, I was wrong. From the moment she stepped onto the court, you could see the shift from this goofball prankster into this fierce competitor that played with passion. Although her desire to be a front row player never came to fruition, she claimed her role as a libero in the first week of her very first preseason and never relinquished it. Ultimately, she didn't care what role she played. She just wanted to be out on the court competing. Despite her small stature, Mariana had a competitive drive and love for the game that made her a bigger player than anyone else in the gym. She would sacrifice her body on a regular basis to earn every point, not only in game time, but in every practice. Mariana's underlying commitment to earn the points motivated everyone around her to work just as hard to be successful. Her teammates witnessed her effort and knew that she would be in the backcourt doing her job so they could do theirs. She literally and figuratively had their backs. As a result, all of the players around her improved and became better, which ultimately led to our team's successes. Although Mariana was intense, she also possessed the skill of knowing how to lighten the mood in stressful times. She knew how and when to motivate her teammates. Honestly, one of Mariana's greatest skills as a leader is her humor. It allowed her teammates to enjoy the game as much as she did. She was a fearless player with a large personality. She exuded confidence while also being coachable, and most importantly, she was the hardest working player on the court. It was my privilege to coach her and a delight to mentor her in her early years of coaching. She has since continued on in her coaching journey and has found great success. This comes as no surprise to me, especially since Mariana's love for the game has always been apparent and contagious and a driving force for her achievements. I know she will continue to thrive, and I can foresee a time in the very near future when she will be holding up a state title trophy.
As a high school player, Mariana played all around for us. There was no libero back then, so she was an outside hitter and she was our best passer and probably our best server.
Mariana as a player was an amazing defensive player. She came in as an outside player from her old school and transitioned into the libero position.
Mariana was the type of leader that it wasn't about her talk or what she said, it was about her play. She led by example, definitely.
What Mariana brought to the team is very good sense of, motivation. She was very driven and goal-oriented on the court.
The thing about Mariana is her intensity. As when the game started, Mariana was there. The ball was not going to hit the ground.
I knew having her in the back row, anywhere that ball went, she was there.
She had a great relationship with her teammates. They called themselves the Crazy Eights. We had 8 seniors at the time, and they were crazy, and she was the leader.
Mariana on and off the court was definitely 2 different people. Very similar, but definitely different. On the court, she was laser focused and determined to make sure that, whatever she was going for, she achieved. And she was very similar off the court as well, as far as being goal oriented and wanting to achieve what she wanted to achieve. But she had a very more laid back, comedic type of personality.
When Mariana came to Eastern and I talked to her, I saw how happy she was, and I think it was a perfect fit for her. Her sister at the time was playing for me, Sophia. And Sophia was a really good player also, and she had good stats. So when we would win, I would call the paper and get her name in the paper. But Eastern kept sending out press releases where Mariana was Defensive Player of the Week. And after about the 4th time, I called her up. I said, can you just name the award after you, so give it to somebody else, so your sister could get some publicity in town?
Mariana and I became really good friends because we both were transfers to Eastern the same year. I think we both realized that we had the same competitiveness in us. We had the same drive, and we both kind of clicked it off with our personalities being very similar as well. So Mariana and I were in college together. We both started coaching a club team in Connecticut, and I could definitely see that she was destined to be a coach and have volleyball in her life for a very long time.
A few years after graduation, I can't remember the timeline, but she was named head coach at West Hill High School, and there are rivals in town, unfortunately for us. Mariana changed the culture at West Hill, turned it into a sport that people wanted to play, and they were in the state finals 2 years in a row. She was voted Coach of the Year 2 years in a row also. So she took that program from nothing and turned it into one of the top programs in the state of Connecticut.
At this time, it gives me great pleasure to present as a 2021 inductee into the Eastern Connecticut State University Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame, Mariana Capamola Linehan.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Fame inductee Mariana Capamola Linehan and her presenter, Jolie Ward.
Good evening. Thank God I'm not the only one who wrote down a speech or 4 pages worth. I would like to thank Eastern Connecticut's athletic department for tonight's event and all those who came together to make this happen in these trying times. It's truly an honor standing here among such talented people and to receive this award. I wanted to thank my head coach here at Eastern, Jolie Ward, for so many accomplishments. If it wasn't for her belief in me as a player and her ability to drive me towards success, I would not be standing here today. There were a lot of things that Jolie pushed me to do beyond my limits and beyond what I thought I could even do. More often than not, coach's practice was nothing short of a gut check, literally. More often than not, I could not breathe, walk, or think I could finish. And just when I thought I was going to lose the battle, coach was there telling me, keep going, Mariana. As a young woman, those battles seemed nothing more to me than what we take them at face value. At 20 years old, it's just a sprint, it's just a drill, it's just a rep, it's just a practice, it's just a game. And yet at 36 years old, there's still a voice in my head that says, keep going, Mariana. Those battles not only led me to be the player that I am today, or the player that I became at Eastern, but the player and person that I am today. Volleyball was and always will be my passion, although I no longer play at a competitive level. I have found a way to scratch that itch through coaching. Jolie's lessons did not stop when I left her program. Whether they were heavy on fundamentals, conditioning, or skill work, what I instill in my players is a direct reflection of what she's instilled in me. Her impact on this game is still being felt by players today whom she'll never know. I would like to thank my high school coach, Mike Smeriglio, aka Smurf, who is in attendance tonight. Smurf, thank you so much for supporting me for the last 22 years of my career as a person, a player, and now as even a rival coach. Your program at Stanford High created the foundation for my passion and love for volleyball. Smurf's presence motivated me throughout my college career. The pressure just knowing that he'd be watching me was more than enough to keep me going and to make him proud. A lot of people will bump heads with Smurf, but the man tells it like it is. Smurf would often say, in order to handle the truth, you have to be willing to listen to it. His honesty allowed me to follow certain paths to success that I found in the game. Smurf has had nothing but the best interest in me and nothing but his clear desire to see me succeed in life. Today, I consider Smurf to be one of my best friends and one who I'll always lean on for life. I was blessed to have two coaches who cared about the personal well-beings of their players. Both coaches being in attendance tonight is a testament to that. Both Jolie Ward and Mike Smeriglio knew how to build strength in their players on a physical and mental level. Both took the time to know their players as people. It is one fact that is proven so critical. It is the one intangible that creates strong women today. I want to thank my mom for always supporting my drive to play volleyball and being my #1 fan at all my games since I was 10 years old. I want to thank my family and friends for coming and supporting me while playing and also in my career now, knowing how much volleyball means to me. Nicole, I've not only found a teammate and a roommate here at Eastern, I found a lifelong friend. Thank you for always being there for me, no matter how far we live from each other. And to my husband, who I left last, I know you weren't here for my college career, but I do want to say, I told you I was good at volleyball. I want to thank you for putting up with me every volleyball season when it's the only thing that I talk about for months. One day can only hope to be so lucky enough to watch my two little girls share the same passion that I do. I want to thank you all again and everyone here at Eastern for this wonderful award.
Recovering from a horrific injury in the spring of 1992 to earn softball All-America honors the next year might have been enough to sweep Lori A. Francina into the Alumni Hall of Fame. But as an essential player on 8 postseason tournament teams in 2 sports, there was more, much more, that guaranteed her arrival at the Hall. In softball, the 4-year starter in center field and shortstop was named to 8 All-New England teams by 3 different organizations. As a freshman in 1991, Lori was honored as All-New England twice, and 1 year after sustaining 32 facial fractures caused by a thrown bat early in the spring of 1992, she returned as a sophomore in 1993 to be named 3rd team All-America, 1st team All-Northeast Region, 1st team All-New England, and 2nd team All-ECAC. In 1994, the 2-sport captain was awarded the prestigious ECAC Award of Valor for, quote, courage, motivation, and relentless determination in serving as an inspiration to all, end quote. In all, Lori played on 4 NCAA tournament softball teams. She batted .337 in her career and currently ranks among the all-time top 10 in hits, runs, at-bats, stolen bases, and walks. In basketball, Lori never missed a game in 3 full seasons as a point guard under Alumni Hall of Fame coach Bob Miller, helping the Warriors to postseason tournaments each year, including consecutive NCAA Final Four berths as a freshman and sophomore, and to the program's first 2 Little East regular season titles and the first Little East tournament championship.
Good afternoon. My name is David Yo, and I was the head athletic trainer at Eastern from 1986 to 2012. It's a pleasure for me to serve as the presenter for 2021 inductee Lori Franchino. In those 26 years as the head trainer, I evaluated, treated, and helped to rehabilitate hundreds of injuries. I can honestly say that the facial injury that Lori suffered in March of 1992 from a softball accident in the gymnasium, an injury with its multiple facial fractures and multiple surgeries, this injury was the most serious and horrific that I had seen in nearly 3 decades at Eastern. What came of that injury is an emotional story of courage and determination. Not afraid to get back on the horse, Lori played basketball just 7 months after her first surgery. Wearing a mask, she competed at the highest level, gaining All-American honors in softball by the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association the following season in 1993, when she started each of the team's 34 games, batted .339, and led the team in 9 offensive categories. In her softball career, she was named All-New England a total of 8 times. In the 2 seasons following this horrific injury, she was named All-New England by the New England Coaches Association, the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association, and the ECAC each year. In the fall of 1994, Lori was presented with the Award of Valor by the Eastern College Athletic Conference, which honors an ECAC athlete whose, quote, courage, motivation, and relentless determination serves as an inspiration, end quote. After she returned to the team, she didn't take a day off. She made her teammates better. She was an inspiration. She had toughness and tenacity. She was relentless in competing. She was a tireless worker. And she had a largeness of spirit. Lori is such a genuine person, such a good soul, and a great Hall of Fame athlete.
You know, when I found out Lori was going into the Hall of Fame, I was super excited for her. I mean, she's a competitor, she's been a hard worker, 2-sport athlete, you know, taking teams to national tournaments every year, and so it wasn't a surprise to me at all.
When I found out Lori was inducted, it was by a phone call, actually. She's like, I joined your club. I was like, what? She goes, I got inducted into the Hall of Fame. I was so excited for her when she said it. It was just joy. She deserved it. What I think her qualities were for being inducted was she's highly motivated. She's very valuable and skilled player. Also teaches others to try to make the team better.
For a freshman to come in and start right away in the softball program, we'd just come off a national championship, and she was able to just come right in and just like take over center field, which was awesome for me, and just, you know, be a leader out there right from the beginning, which was extremely abnormal.
And she had a lot of energy, and she brought everybody else up if somebody was down.
If we're going to talk about Lori's personality, we can just say explosive, we can say energetic, we can say fun. The energy level is through the roof.
Lori was injured very badly in a softball practice. We were indoors and batting, and then all of a sudden a bat slipped out of one of the players' hands, and there was a line, and I didn't know who it hit, but I knew it hit someone. And then I found out it was Lori, and then when I went over there, I remember her, there was blood everywhere. And I remember her saying, because Jeff was also there, that I can't feel my face. So we get home to our dorm, and there was no way she was gonna sleep on the bunks we had. So I took the mattress off, brought it into the living room, propped it up against the wall, laid her down, but she was in a sitting position because she kept, blood just kept coming. So all night, she would be there. She would fall asleep, but then she would start choking. So I'd have her spit into, I had a pitcher. It's the only thing I could find at the time, and I would kept waking her up, and she would spit into it. And then I had to change it out, and we kept doing that all night.
The year that the injury happened for Lori was devastating. The pain that she probably went through is something we can't imagine. I know that they sent her home, which was like, we were all infuriated. And thank God for Bernice, who brought her back and was like, no, she can't be home. She'd drowned in her own blood, literally. Knowing Lori's competitiveness, I knew she'd come out at the other end in a positive way, but at the time, we all were just mortified for her. Not even really understanding the how bad it was. You know, it looked bad from what the players were telling me, but we didn't know it was that bad. I don't know the number of bones that she broke in her face. I remember going to the hospital and going in the room, and I'm gonna start crying, but her face was sinking into her skull. That's the vision of what we saw.
The concerns of being hit in the face again, she wasn't scared about that. She got a mask developed special, so if she did get hit, it would lessen the blow. I think for her to come back from an injury like that and then go on to become an All-American is it's unbelievable.
At this time, it is my distinct pleasure to present for 2021 induction into the Eastern Connecticut State University Athletics Hall of Fame, Lori A. Francina.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Fame inductee Lori A. Francina and her presenter, Hall of Famer Dave Yo.
I don't know, that's hard to follow. Did you all follow that? Oh, wow. Oh, I would like to start out by thanking the Hall of Fame committee for the nomination and helping me reach this wonderful, wonderful milestone. I want to thank Bob Multa and Smitty, Scott Smith, for all their love throughout the years that continues to this day. Thank you, guys. At this time, I'd also like to thank the media staff who worked tirelessly to put this together. At this time also, I'd like to thank 3 coaches of mine. Excuse me, I am so nervous. Does anybody pick up on this? Let's just start over. All right. Jeffrey William Anderson, Bob Miller, both deceased, Paul Gallo, Chi-Chi, Richard Grenier, and Clyde Washburn. Without each one of you, I truly believe that I would not have been the athlete that I am today and was. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Clyde Washburn and Jeffrey Anderson and Bob Miller. To start, Clyde Washburn was a man who made me believe in myself. It was his motivational style and his warrior ways that let me find myself. He instilled in me to play with inspiration, knowledge, tenacity, and never quit. It was what I call now the warrior way. I still believe in his methods today. It allowed me to reach my full potential on and off the field. Jeffrey Anderson had a same style of coaching. He made me believe in myself. We had so many talks with him. It was not just about the game, but also about life. Jeffrey was a father figure to me, a mentor, a friend. I don't know if many people can imagine losing their coach at such a young age. Jeffrey died at 33, November 11th, 1992, which forever stays in the heart of the Eastern teams, both basketball and softball. I don't know if anybody can imagine being called from classes by other friends and teammates from different. I had a basketball player actually come get me for a softball incident and tell us of his passing. I had both Bob Miller and Dr. Burrell Miller sitting next to me. There was one open chair. Everybody was seated. I don't know if they thought I was going to go cuckoo or not, but they definitely sat me in a particular place. Jeffrey had been diagnosed with cancer in April of 1992. It was a month later that I suffered. In some papers it said 34, and some it said 32, but I'll go with, let's go with 33. And don't forget 5 major breaks. So there's titanium in there, definitely, and screws. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you. For 6 months, I had a screw showing, and I at parties thought it was a cool thing, just to go, I got a screw loose. Okay, stayed with me forever. I don't know why. I mean, I really thought that was crazy. Like, you could see it. And it was a Phillips head, by the way. I'm not lying. I am not lying. But he told me before my reconstructive surgery that we would win another championship together. I truly believed him. Although we never got back on the field as coach and player, my life has been forever changed by his guidance. We were taught many life lessons. We learned how to express our deepest feelings. Kids of that age don't reach that until later on in life. We learned how to, unfortunately, great sadness, but we learned how to play the game with heart and desire. Actually, we didn't have a choice. As they say, the game must go on. Jeffrey told me to never stop trying, and with the fight and desire that he instilled in me, I did not quit. I got back from my injury, and within 7 months, I was back on the field playing. We both missed the 1993 fall season, and we were preparing for the 1990 regular season. Our aspirations were high. Our team had just come off of a national tournament. We were still ranked 10th, in the top 10, excuse me. We had won 5 out of the last 10 national championships. In 1991, when I was a freshman, we took second place nationally here at Howard Specter Field, which now is, as you know, a parking garage. Very sad. But people have to park, I get it. Oh boy, where am I? Okay. My desire to come back and play on the field that Clyde Washburn built and to maintain his legacy was one of the biggest motivations. I had no idea how difficult it would be. We had lost a great coach, Jeffrey Anderson, and writing this still hurts. There's still so many questions that could have been, but standing here today makes me feel like I did what I could do. I believe that unfortunate experiences of Jeff's death has created a true bond with our teammates, our professors, our administrators, and the Eastern community, which we created, all of us, every sport, created that Eastern community of love and desire. Some of you may or may not know that I was a two-sport athlete. Now you kind of do, because that was long. I was a two-sport athlete. While this difficult experience was occurring in softball with my softball family, I was lucky enough to have the great support of my basketball family. I had by far the greatest support system anyone could have during the toughest of times. It was in October of 1991 that I started my freshman season playing for Coach Bob Miller, who at this time was the winningest coach in Division III. I was a walk-on for the basketball team, and the tryout process seems like it went all the way to the end of the season for me. I was trying out every single day. Although with the basketball, I had to fight and practice daily and keep up with the team, I had 6 future Hall of Famers on my team. Some of them are here today, and I'd like the opportunity to recognize Bernice LaFerrier, Wendy Rogers, and Chris Mock, all for leading this school to its first, Final Four, appearances. It was great. I mean, I just had to do what I was supposed to do. Like when Wendy said, go there, I went there. I was definitely a team player. I did get on the field a few times in the court. But finally, I'd like to thank my parents. My mom could not be here today for travel. It is very difficult for her to travel. My father and my sister are here. My father created this. As I look at him, I'm like, wow, I'm a disaster. But anyway, I do love you, and you were my first role model. And let me tell you, I knew when you chipped your elbow and couldn't play for the Yankees anymore. I think through this loss that I experienced here would probably be the same loss you experienced playing. So thank you for being my dad. And thank you, Mom. Thank you.
In a celebrated 4-year career, David H. Nicholson proved himself as one of the premier 400-meter runners in Division III, earning all New England recognition at the Division III, Open, and ECAC championship meets a total of 38 times indoors and outdoors in the sprints and relays, and winning New England Division III championships at 400 meters indoors and outdoors as a senior. During that indoor season, the Windsor native became the program's first male to earn NCAA Division III All-America honors in a running event, with a 6th place finish at 48.90 seconds at 400 meters at the national meet. Seeded 9th in a field of 13, Dave qualified for the final by placing 4th with a time of 48.50 seconds, his fastest time ever on a flat track. Incredibly, Dave sprinted to all New England recognition, both indoor and outdoor, every year at 400 meters. He was a 27-time Little East and New England Alliance champion, indoors and outdoors, in the 200, 400, and with the 4x1 and 4x4 relays. Today, Dave still holds conference championship records in the 200 and 400. With Dave, Eastern won 4 straight Little East outdoor championships under head coach Frank Poulin, as well as 1 Little East and 1 New England Alliance indoor championship.
Hello, my name is Leo Mayo, and it is my pleasure to present my coaching colleague, David Nicholson, for induction into the Eastern Connecticut State University Athletic Alumni Hall of Fame. Dave, or Slim as some of you know him, was one of my first full-time assistant coaches at American International College. In a chance meeting at a regional cross-country championship in 2013, while Dave was coaching at Queens College in New York, Nick Noheimer, another Eastern alum who was my assistant cross-country coach and distant coach at the time, introduced us and told me Dave was a great athlete at Eastern and an even better teammate. Dave instantly became my next top recruit. After a few phone calls, I was able to get Dave to apply and accept our assistant track and field position, and the rest is history. Within 2 years, we had won our first Northeast 10 indoor conference championship. In the 3 years that Dave was on staff, we won 5 conference titles, including becoming the first Northeast 10 school to win the Triple Crown, 3 conference titles in 1 academic year, cross-country, indoor, and outdoor. Dave was one of the first assistant coaches that was able to challenge, support, and encourage me to be the best coach possible. It was Dave's energy, passion, and discipline to holding young student athletes to a higher standard that allowed our programs to succeed at the highest level. From the very beginning, Dave was able to establish a work ethic and commitment for his student athletes that allowed him to see success very early. There were multiple occasions where Dave and I would stay late in the office and go back and forth in trying to land the next top recruit. It was our mission to challenge each other, to be better, and to ensure that our program was getting better and better every year. It has been amazing to see him become one of the top coaches in the country. Dave has had 50 individual conference champions, 41 NCAA national championship qualifiers, and 31 All-Americans to his credit. However, it is not the athletic accolades that defines his success. It is the relationships that he has built with his student athletes that defines him. If anyone knows him, they know that he will be by your side in the good times and bad. His positivity, his encouragement, and his ability to motivate is what separates him from most. I am not surprised that David is being inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's apparent that the same commitment to excellence that he exemplified as a student athlete here at Eastern has applied to his coaching career.
I've known him since I was in middle school, and he's always been a great guy and a natural leader. So he's been somebody that I've been able to look up to for a very long time. I could see that Dave was going to be a great athlete early on. He was somebody that had great natural ability, but he was also a very hard worker.
What made Dave a Hall of Famer was that he was a winner. He won all the time in multiple events from the second he stepped foot on the track until the second he left.
Dave had a great work ethic. He never missed a day of practice. He never made excuses, and he was a great person for us to look up to.
He was an incredibly hard worker, super disciplined, never missed a day of practice, not without any type of, lingering injury. He ran through, multiple years of nagging injuries, never made an excuse, never a thought of not going to the track and competing at practice daily. From a relay standpoint, he and I were on relays together from freshman year all the way through senior year with multiple interchangeable, athletes, Mark being one of them, and many other of our good friends. We meshed well together because we trusted each other. We knew that nobody was a slacker. We knew that we were trying our hardest in practice, in the weight room and throughout the week.
It was very obvious that Dave came from a great family. His parents are people that work hard, and they instill that work ethic in their children.
Off the track, he's kind of a chill guy. He's just kind of relaxed, likes music, movies, hanging out, and was a good student. But no, on the track, he was a killer. Dave's best qualities as a person: he's a kind person. He's generous. He's humble. He's a hard worker. He's trustworthy. He's a good friend.
Dave was not the type of person to demand the spotlight. He was a humble leader, but he was somebody that was comfortable standing out in front of everybody and leading by example. I think it's pretty clear that Dave was going to turn out to be a college coach because he always was an old soul to me. He was somebody that was mature beyond his years.
Yeah, no, he has a passion for helping athletes get better. The experience and depth of knowledge that he has in track and field, every athlete that I'm sure has been under his tutelage is extremely happy to have him as a coach and very lucky to have him as a coach. He's a great, humble coach who's not going to lie to his athletes and tell them exactly what they need and hopefully make them better individuals as well.
At this time, it is with great pleasure that I present for induction into the Eastern Connecticut State University Athletics Alumni Hall of Fame, David H. Nicholson.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Fame inductee David H. Nicholson and his presenter, Leo Mayo.
Well, thank you. Thank you to the Hall of Fame committee. This is such an honor, such an overwhelming honor, and my heart is full. All of the inductees, congratulations, the LEC inductees, and all of the Hall of Fame inductees today. I mean, what an inspiring group of people to be around. It is great to be home. I've spent a long time coaching and being away and being back here on campus it's been surreal. I mean, from the beginning and start of my college career, with my two captains when I was a freshman that are fortunate enough to make it here, Greg Carter and Pete Kellogg. Just striving for excellence was always the goal. I want to thank Frank Poulin, who couldn't make it here. Frank was an interesting character, but he allowed me to spend time in the office and ask questions throughout my 4 years and get an education in track and field and to put my education first. It was a full scope growth through my time here at Eastern. I couldn't have asked for a better family to be a part of. And that journey started at home, and I want to thank my brother Omega, who's here, for never allowing me to win at anything, ever, at anything. And it did start at home. My parents, thank you for being here and making the trip. Just super appreciative to have you here. Josh Lowney for getting the ball rolling. teammates that were able to show up and be here. All of those accolades and the numbers are great, but it was always about the team, and it was always about making the Eastern family proud. We had to keep up with all the other sports, the lacrosse and the baseballs and basketballs and all the national appearances. So we wanted to do our part. As track and field athletes, we understand we're the skinny guys that run around campus and probably don't get too much credit. We run down the hill and watch baseball in their stadium. Like, oh, that's nice. You got the stadium over there. All right. You're gonna let us do some bleachers today, and we'd hop on and do some bleachers and things like that. But it was always a great community, and having the ability to come back and be able to share this time with all of you has been great. It's been wonderful. Leo, thanks for stepping in. I really appreciate it. Learned such a lot from this man, being his assistant up at AIC. I brought a Blue Devil here. He's from Central. Sorry, guys, but such a wealth of knowledge in the sport and in life. And thanks for listening to all the phone calls back and forth. This generation is a bit different, but they need us. They need us. They need guidance, and they need us to continue to push and challenge and be there for them. And such a great man here, and I couldn't ask for a better person to be here to induct me and be my presenter. So I don't have much. I won't keep you very long. I don't write speeches. I have to talk in front of my team all the time. So I just want to say thank you. I'm just so grateful and so appreciative of the opportunity to be here and to be in the hall. And Jason Edwards, chasing you, chasing the numbers, chasing the name. Kathy, thank you so much. It's great in what you've done with the program and the championships and bringing us to a level we're all very proud to have you at the helm. Just thank you all. That's it.
Any discussion of the most memorable individual seasons and careers in the storied history of Eastern baseball must include Dwight A. Wildman, a five-tool player who capped a remarkable career as a first-team ABCA Division III All-America and National Collegiate Baseball Writers' National Player of the Year. That season, he batted .419 and set program season records which remain today with 93 hits, 20 home runs, 174 total bases, and 79 RBI, with his 67 runs and 21 doubles currently the second most ever in a season. As a testament to his versatility, he also stole 27 bases and had a .990 fielding average. That's one error on 100 chances. In 2004, the Seymour native also concluded a hitting streak of 31 games, which had begun in 2003, a program-tying record which stood for 14 years. For good measure that season, Dwight unloaded a dramatic walk-off two-run home run in an elimination game of the national tournament that helped carry the team to an eventual national second-place finish. At the plate in his career, Dwight hit for average .370, power 37 home runs, and in the clutch 195 RBI, and was unstoppable on the base paths with a record 96 steals, including a record 30 in a row, and compiled a .982 fielding average on 326 chances. Further illustrating Dwight's unusual combination of power and speed is the fact that he is one of only 9 players in program history to hit as many as 3 home runs in one game, and one of only 2 players in program history to steal as many as 5 bases in one game. For his accomplishments, Dwight was named to the D3Baseball.com Team of the Decade for the first decade of the 2000s.
No, I would like to talk very nicely about Dwight Wildman as our Hall of Fame nominee. Dwight was an outstanding baseball player and plus a very, very, very good student. And Dwight is down in our program as one of the best outfielders that we've had ever in our program. Dwight was a very, very consistent ball player for 4 years as an outfielder. His senior year was highlighted by a home run in the ninth inning to put our team into the championship game. And Dwight was an outstanding outfielder defensively and hitting. Very consistent as an outfielder and a runner. Dwight did a very nice job for us as one of our leaders in our program for 4 years. And again, Dwight was a special ball player in our program and led the program in many categories. But again, it is an honor for me to be presenting Dwight as a Hall of Fame prospect.
This ring is the reason why Dwight Wildman is in the Hall of Fame. His mom used to spin it before every game, superstitiously, and what do you know? All these years later, all those hits later, home runs later, Dwight is in the Hall of Fame.
When we went and saw Dwight Wildman play basketball at Seymour High School, we saw what kind of athlete he was and what kind of competitor he was. And that translated also into his baseball playing at Seymour High as well.
All that you've heard about Dwight Wildman being a great athlete, great baseball player is true. The All-American, the records that he has set. What you should also know, in addition to his great hitting baseball, is his superstition. His superstition about the glove. The glove had to be put, when he comes in from the outfield, in a certain way on the dugout floor. Not this way. It had to be put this way. And the laces had to be in a certain position. And he would put it on the floor, look at it, and then reposition it with the laces. And it had to be not this way, but this way. And the laces had to be here. And he would look at it 2-3 times and reposition the glove. And then he was ready to hit.
The qualities that Dwight Wildman possesses that make him a Hall of Famer are his determination, his competitiveness on the field and even off the field, how he went about his work in practice, his preparation in practice, his focus.
Dwight Wildman, I think of the word great. I think he was a great outfielder. He was a great hitter. He was a great base runner. And probably most importantly, he came from, great people. His family, Sue and Dwight Wildman, were some of our favorite parents. They made me very comfortable as the coach's wife. They were never pretentious. They were good people. And because of that, Dwight Wildman's a good person, great baseball player.
Physically, he could do anything on the baseball field. He had a strong arm. He could hit for power. He could hit for average. Whatever the situation called for, he could do.
Dwight was pretty even keel, although he always had a smile on his face. Never got too hot, too angry, too excited, was just always very even keel and able to, I think that's part of the reason why he was able to be so successful, is because he didn't let his emotions get the best of him.
When it was crunch time and the game was on the line, Dwight Wildman was one of the best players we've ever had.
Here's the 2-0 pitch. It's a fly ball toward deep center field. Back goes Ryan Callahan, looks up toward the batter's eye. It's over for a game-winning home run in the bottom of the ninth inning. Eastern Connecticut wins it 2-1 on the 2-run homer to center field by Dwight Wildman, his third homer of the tournament, and the Warriors live to play tomorrow.
At this time, it gives me pleasure to present for the induction into the Eastern Athletic Hall of Fame, Dwight Wildman.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hall of Fame inductee Dwight A. Wildman and his presenter for this evening, standing in for Coach Bill Holowati, Jan Holowati.
God, can we lose that picture with the blonde hair, please? Good God. Anyway. Thanks for that great introduction. That was fantastic. I wasn't expecting that. First, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee for selecting me to join the past great athletes and coaches from Eastern. It's a great honor. I'd like to thank all of my teammates and coaches. My 4 years playing here were the best time of my life, and I know for my family it was the same for them, especially my parents. You guys were there all the time. You were there for the whole way, and what I experienced, you experienced as well. I want to thank Smitty. Smitty, you were my go-to guy all 4 years. Anytime I had an issue, anytime I wanted to talk about anything, or if you were just going to keep me out of trouble, which was pretty good. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. To my wife, Lauren, we just got married 2 months ago, and I wish you and me met a little bit earlier. Thank you. I wish we met a little bit earlier just so you could have seen what led to all of this. It was pretty special, going back through high school and into college. And I know you know the stories, and I keep talking about them, and you keep telling me it's my Uncle Rico moment, and I'm going to keep coming with those stories. If you don't know who Uncle Rico is, watch the movie Napoleon Dynamite. You're going to get a kick out of it, okay? On top of thank you for my parents, again, you never missed anything, and I appreciate that. You used to travel the country with us and see everything. To my brother Anthony, we grew up playing this game together, and whether it was next door at the Carone's house on their baseball field that their family built for them, or whether it was inside the house with a wiffle ball bat and a balled up sock destroying the house, sorry guys. We played every second that we could, and there was really no way that we wouldn't have been successful, with how much we played this game. So, thanks for being there. To my sister, she was traveling the country most of the time doing cheerleading competitions and taking part in all of that. But every game that you were at, even though I had an uncanny ability to block everything out when I was playing, I always heard you. No. Lastly, I wish Coach Holowati could have been here, so make sure he hears this, okay? I was trying to think of some memories to talk about tonight. I had a lot to choose from, for my playing days. And the one that I came up with had nothing to do with playing, and it didn't happen here. It happened before I got here. It was a phone call from Coach. Initially, a lot of people don't know this, initially I did not commit here. I was going to a Division I school in New York. And a few weeks before school was to start, I let the other coach know, okay, I'm coming there. And out of respect for Coach Holowati and how much time and effort he put into recruiting me, I wanted to give him a call just to let him know. And so I called the other coach. We were ready to go, no problem, hang up with him. I called Coach Holowati. Coach, I'm going to this other school. I'm going to keep this clean. The response, he slams the phone, and on the way down, I can hear a curse word that referenced my mother, and the phone hit this. This is when we used landlines with that. So he, mother, and slammed the phone on me. So I go back to what I'm doing, and about 10 minutes later, the phone rings again. It's Coach Holowati. He just says, I want to apologize for how that phone call ended. And, before this is final, can you come back up for one more visit? I said, okay, Coach, I'll come back up for one more. I had just decided that day, no harm done. So a couple days later, I go up to Eastern's campus, and we go down to the baseball field. And he pretty much just walks me to the field and then kind of drifts off. The field was brand new at the time. The 98 team, you guys had just won, and so it was only about 2 years old. So he leaves me out there, about 10 minutes of moseying around. I get back in the car. We go back to campus, and I think we're just going to go to his office. Instead, he takes me to the registration office. So I'm sitting there, and I kind of figure out that he's not letting me leave. I mean, this is a semi-hostage situation, and he's not letting me leave without saying I'm coming to Eastern. So I decide, all right, I'm coming here. And in the back of my mind, I sign the pay, I get everything going, and so we're leaving campus, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I hope I made the right decision on this, because I went from, okay, I know I'm going to New York. Did I make the right decision with this change? I get home, I call the other coach. And he does same reaction, not cursing, same reaction, slams the phone on me. I said, Coach, there's been a change of plans. I'm going to Eastern. Slams the phone. So at that, and the difference was he never called me back. He originally wanted me really bad, never called me back when I told him I changed my mind. Coach, when I told him that it was pretty much game over, couldn't accept it. And he just had to win, no matter, we all know his history when it comes to playing at UConn basketball, or UConn playing basketball there. He was a legend. We all know the legend he was here. And I knew this, after time passed and I didn't get that other call back from the other coach, I knew I made the right decision. This guy was a winner. This guy was as competitive as I was. And I mean, Jan, you guys have you've seen it. We butt heads quite a bit. So it was a competitive side. But I knew I made the right decision. And his winning attitude and my desire to be the best that I could possibly be led to a hell of a lot of wins over the next 4 years, and the big one in 2002 with the national championship. It couldn't have been any better. So, Coach, again, I wish Coach was here, but I show him this video. Tell him I thank you for everything, and thank you. Literally one phone call changed the path of my life. He doesn't call back, I'm not here. One phone call changed that. So, Coach, when you see this, thank you very much. So, and again, thank you everyone for this honor. It's much, much appreciated. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dwight. Well, what an incredible evening this has been. Here to provide some closing remarks, Director of Athletics, Lori Runksmeyer.
So I'm going to start off with some thank yous. The Eastern Sports Information Office would like to thank Lisa Holtaling from Media Services and her student assistants for all the videos that you saw tonight. Lloyd Weir from Media Services was helping us out tonight, so thanks to him as well. Lisa has also provided a blooper highlight reel you might be interested in watching while you have dessert later. Hang on for that one. I'd like to thank the presenters and guests who volunteered their time and expertise, most of whom traveled to Eastern, to the television studio to create those videos. So thanks to all of them. The Hall of Fame committee obviously puts a lot of effort into this event. And I truly want to thank them for the job that they've all done and the time that they put into selecting the honorees and planning this event. And I know they appreciate the support of everyone in this room or purchased an ad or made a donation, because all of that helps make this event possible. And I know that they really appreciate that deeply. I'd also like to thank Camille and the catering staff for the food that we've had. There's going to be a dessert table as soon as I get done, if indeed I do, so wait for that. But so stick around, satisfy your sweet tooth. It's been a tough last couple of years. Certainly harder for the world than it has been for us here in athletics. But it has been difficult, and our student athletes have had a hard time, and our coaches have had a hard time, our athletic department staff has had a hard time. But I'm so proud of what they've done to continue to support our Warrior family. And I know that they do that because of the tradition that those of you in this room have built. And the staff here really takes it seriously to continue to support and build the traditions that you set so that we can make you as proud of us as we are of you. So I want to thank you because it's made the last 2 years a little bit livable to know that we're doing this as part of history. So have a great night. Be safe. Take care. Thanks.